gotta catch the early light. I'm going fishing for a feeling I get when the fish bite. Oh, I gotta say my prayers, roll down the covers, and kiss my wife goodnight. I'm going fishing in the morning, gotta catch the early light. Early in the morning, it gets me from my sleep.
Alright, again I'm feeding the line down like this. Got a good drift going. I think the fly's floating a little better now. Coming in over the fish right now. And they're refusing it just like they did before. Alright, well, I gave that one a good go. Okay, let me try this one up here. Right by it. Okay, let me see if I can still. I'm going to try to do a few more things. We got to catch up.
Throw a slackline cast here and back off the power a little bit. Boom, right there, back it off. What that does is it gives me a little slack. I can manage my line real quickly, and I do not have instant drag when it lands like you would with a straight line cast. That's a nice option right there.
Pete, I noticed in these presentation casts, you're not doing any mending on the water. You're just lifting the rod and kind of repositioning the line.
The only mend I might do is if a current grabs the line and does something unexpected, but nope, I'm going to aerialize most of the mends here because I just can't afford to spook the fish with a water mend. And it's really important that you aerialize your mends. It's hard from sitting down low, and that's just a challenge that you have. It makes it fun, but it's really important that you aerialize the mends.
Pete's using a 3-weight rod. A 3- and 4-weight rods are almost essential for this. And there's something that's important about using this rod, and is that you have to use a little bit longer stroke to get more energy on your backstroke. It's still a short stroke, and we're still not going back too far. But what we're doing is we're taking that cast up, because it's not as stiff a rod as some of our other rods that we have, like a 6 or 7 weight rod, 5, 6 or 7 weight rod. What happens as you go back in your cast, you add a little bit more energy right there. Rather than coming to a stop to transfer the energy, we add just a little bit. You'll see it when he does that cast. He'll come back and add a little bit, almost a little actual flick of the wrist, so that softer rod, and it'll open up. Even though he's right here, you'll see him, it's not bending a wrist. And that's something that really confuses people. But he's actually tilting his arm back so that the line flattens out. One of the characteristics of these light lines is their tapering. If you're only going to cast like 15 to 20 feet in a really, really small stream, a double tapered's fine. But a traditional weight forward in this small line is not going to do it for you. Almost all the line manufacturers have Spring Creek type lines. They're little mini weight forward, or little mini heads as we call it, designed to just aerialize a little line and shoot it. Everybody's making it. The one that I have worked with is the Cortland Clear Creek line, which is, again, designed. It was the first line designed for Spring Creek fishing. Now everybody's got it.
Another cool piece of presentation information is called a drag mend, or what I call a drag mend. You lay that fly down just slightly past the feeding lane of the fish, and as soon as it lands, you drag it into place so that it goes right over the top of the fish. You're doing this above the fish so he doesn't get spooked and doesn't see it, and then you're all set. You got to be really gentle when you drag it, or else you'll sink the fly. But it's a great option.
There's something else that Pete will be doing here, and it sometimes confuses people, and that is what we call side cast. And you'll hear people say, don't sidearm. There's a difference. Swinging the rod like this without locking your wrist is side arming. But to make a cast where you lock the wrist and change the casting plane. I'm up here, I'm going to start tilting myself, and as long as all the integrity of the cast remains on the same axis here, and I bring the rod back, I can make casts that'll go underneath bushes that can stay out of the fish's vision. Now Pete's going to demonstrate that.
The important part of a side cast is to make sure that you tilt that plane, the same plane that you're doing with the overhead cast, tilt it over to the side. Let me give you a shot. I'm going to bring it over gradually. There I am over the top. I'm coming down. Notice I'm not using a lot of wrist, and I'm trying to stay in the same plane until I get to the side. A little bit of wind here, but you can still do it. In fact, the wind's not going to hurt us here.
When you notice Pete's cast, I want you to watch the rod tip. How as the plane changes, his rod tip stays in the same position. A lot of anglers will dip the wrist too far back and they end up catching all the weeds that are only like 6 inches off the ground. It's because they want to dip. When they go to the side, they want to dip the rod tip too far back. Look at Pete's, it's in the same plane, line is still staying up, and he makes his cast. Pete just has a fish that's now a little bit out of the casting range. He's going to stretch his cast, and this comes into the most important part of getting better at fly casting, and that's shooting the line. He's a pretty short dude there right now. He's about 4 foot high. So what's going to help him is a little bit of what we call the hauls. We've talked about this already. The double hauls, the single hauls, we call them the jerks and the pull. As you can see right now, even with a little 3-weight, it can be very effective, pulling down on the line, increasing the line speed, and making it happen. Pete just put out a 50-foot cast with a 3-weight because he knew how to do the hauls. Let's take a look at